Incredible moment at a wedding, a heartwarming proposal from a single dad transforms a CEO's life. The sun dipped low in a vibrant orange sky, bathing the wedding venue in a warm glow. Laughter filled the air as guests gathered to celebrate the union of two lives, but for Jason, a devoted single dad, it was more than just a celebration, it was a lifeline. At 32, with his heart swollen with pride for his spirited 6-year-old daughter, Lily, Jason found joy in watching her twirl in her cute, flowery dress. But as the wedding festivities unfolded, the heavy weight of his recent unemployment pressed down on him like a lead blanket. With each joyous toast and heartfelt vow exchanged, Jason's heart ached, not from the love all around him, but from a sense of longing. Once a proud mechanic, he now struggled to make ends meet after losing his job. As he wiped the sweat from his brow, he couldn't help but feel that the laughter of others magnified his internal battle. Yet, he clung to Lily's infectious smile. Her laughter resonated in his soul, his only beacon of hope. Jason navigated through the crowd, trying to drown out his worries in the warmth of friendship and celebration. He found his best friend, the groom, who beamed with joy. Jason mirrored the smile, but just as he began to relax, he was cornered by Mark, a well-dressed CEO. Mark's casual dismissal of the struggles that working-class folks faced made Jason's heart race with indignation. Unknowingly, Mark painted a picture of privilege that stung, leaving Jason feeling as if he were standing on the periphery of a world he once knew. With every pointed word, Jason felt the divide between them grow. "Can you believe these people?" Mark scoffed, "living paycheck to paycheck. What a choice." Jason remained polite, but inside, he felt a knot of frustration forming. Mark's smirk made him feel small, but he bit his tongue as the evening ripened with anticipation. As the sun finally kissed the horizon goodnight, it was time for the toasts. Jason stood, heart racing like it was his first date. The eyes of friends and family turned toward him, and he felt vulnerable, exposed under the weight of expectation. Taking a deep breath, he spoke about Lily, the sacrifices he made for her, and the dreams he clung to like a lifebuoy in a storm. His words flowed from a place deep in his chest, a heartfelt plea for understanding. As he poured out his heart, the crowd leaned in closer, the tension in the air shifting. "Being a single dad means doing everything in my power for my little girl," Jason said, voice quivering. "She is my light, even when the mornings are darkest." The silence wrapped around him, heavy with emotion, and Mark stood frozen, locked in a moment of stark realization. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. An unexpected wave of remorse washed over Mark as Jason's heartfelt words sunk in, breaking through the hardened facade he'd built around himself. The air thickened with unspoken revelations, leaving the audience breathless and captivated. As Jason finished, Mark's expression shifted drastically from apathy to contemplation. He stood up, ready to speak, but the silence was deafening. Would he acknowledge the struggles of working-class souls and confront his own assumptions, or retreat back into his bubble of privilege? The crowd held its breath, and with it, a collective hope hung in the warm summer air, eager to know what was about to unfold. Mark cleared his throat, the sound echoing like a hammer on an anvil. His eyes met Jason's, and for a brief second, everything else around them faded away. The clinking glasses, the soft chatter of guests, and even the gentle breeze became a distant hum. All that mattered was the connection forming between two very different men, a connection born from vulnerability and truth. Mark began, faltering slightly as he shifted his gaze to the crowd. "I didn't come here to speak about anything but the joy of this occasion. But hearing you, Jason, I've underestimated the struggles people face. I've dismissed things I have no idea about." His voice cracked at the brink of honesty, and Jason's heart raced. Was this the moment of change they were all waiting for? sensing the weight of sincerity in Mark's words, the crowd leaned in. Jason felt the room shift, an invisible thread weaving their lives together. "I live in this bubble, thinking money solves everything," Mark continued, the color rising in his cheeks. "But it doesn't." Mark paused, taking a deep breath as he gathered his thoughts. "You've reminded me tonight that success isn't just about numbers and titles. It's about resilience and love. I can't simply look away from what I've done." There was a ripple among the guests, hushed whispers of surprise trailing behind Mark's words. This was not the man Jason had expected to speak out. Yet here he was, a CEO admitting his wrongs, stepping outside his comfort zone, revealing a depth to his character that felt refreshing amidst the sparking celebrations. "What can we do?" Mark asked, glancing towards the people assembled before him. "How can I help?" It was a simple yet profound question, one that hung in the air with the heaviness of promise that a murmured response erupted from the crowd, a blend of uncertainty and hope. Jason felt his heart swell. Could this be the beginning of a shift towards understanding? "Maybe we can create opportunities for those who need it most," Jason said, his own voice steady despite the tremors of his spirit. "There are so many talented people out there, people who are waiting for a chance to shine." Lily, unaware of the gravity in the air, spun around in her dress. She twirled effortlessly, laughing, a bubble of joy in stark contrast to the heavy emotions surrounding them. The sight made Jason's chest tighten. She deserved a world that recognized her dad's sacrifices and the hard work of so many. "Let's start initiatives that can connect companies like yours to local communities," someone shouted from the back of the room, igniting a roar of enthusiasm. Cheers sparked throughout the crowd, and Jason felt a pulse of excitement. There was an electric surge, a feeling of camaraderie building, as strangers nodded at one another, discussing ideas, visions, and plans. For the first time in weeks, Jason felt hope flutter within him, steady and persistent. As the clamor filled the venue, Mark turned to Jason with gratitude in his eyes. "Thank you for sharing your truth. You've changed my perspective tonight." Jason smiled but felt the knot of doubt lingering in his gut. The road ahead would be complicated, and these ideas needed execution. Just a fleeting turn away could hope truly blossom from this night. Before he could voice his thoughts, Lily grasped his hand, pulling him into a dance with her. In that moment, enchanting laughter mixed with joyful tears and renewed aspirations swirled around them, filling Jason with a warmth he hadn't felt in ages. And just as they spun into the dreamy night, Jason pondered what struggles lay ahead for them both. Could they forge a partnership that would redefine success? With the jubilant dance still alive at the wedding, the uncertainty of tomorrow lingered on the horizon, waiting to be met with courage and heart. What awaited Jason and Mark when the party ended and reality set in? The music swelled around them, names floating in the air like a summer breeze. Jason twirled Lily, finding comfort in her laughter as the weight of uncertainty lingered. She was the star of this show, her joy palpable, yet underneath it, Jason felt fragile, like a piece of glass about to shatter. As they danced, he couldn't shake the rush of curiosity mixed with worry. The conversation had sparked something, had broken down walls, and now the future seemed tethered to this moment at a wedding. What would happen after the last guests departed? Would Mark truly follow through on his words? Looking across the room, he spotted Mark, still surrounded by a crowd of eager faces. This was the kind of energy Jason had longed for in so many boardrooms. Real conversations, connections fueled by purpose, not just profit. If Mark could channel even a fraction of this into his company, it could change lives. Suddenly, the music shifted to a slow tune, and Lily giggled, pulling him closer. "Daddy always danced with me to this song." Her eyes sparkled, reminiscent of the shimmering lights strung above them. This was more than a dance, it was a memory, a moment that echoed in the mind, solidifying their bond. "Let us make it our song, okay?" Jason whispered, the corners of his mouth lifting. Lily beamed, nodding enthusiastically. In that heartbeat, the world outside ceased to exist. Yet as they spun together, Jason felt a chill creeping in. The night was fleeting. Reality would soon come crashing back. When the song faded into amber silence, Mark strode toward them, a newfound glint in his eye. He seemed transformed, less like the high-flying CEO and more like a man determined to act on his convictions. It was in the way he approached, confidence in his stride, but also a gentleness that softened his edges. "Jason," Mark said, his voice low, almost conspiratorial. "Can we talk?" Jason's heartbeat quickened again. He glanced at Lily, who was momentarily distracted, her attention elsewhere. "Sure, now's as good a time as any," he replied, tucking a stray hair behind his ear. Suddenly aware of the gravity of this moment, Mark gestured to a quieter corner of the venue, partially veiled under a lush trellis. "I want to get this right," he began. "Those ideas we talked about. I can't keep living in my bubble. I need your help." A flicker of surprise coursed through Jason. "My help?" "Yes, we need to brainstorm and put a plan into motion. I'm serious about this. I want to make a difference." Mark's voice was thick with earnestness. "I want to empower people, give them a shot at success. It's not just about adding a line to a corporate brochure. It's about real change." Jason swallowed hard, the knot in his stomach morphing into something more exhilarating. "This isn't just a charity project, it's something bigger," he said slowly, piecing together his thoughts. "It's about building bridges, not just throwing money at problems." "Exactly," Mark replied, his enthusiasm infectious. "Let us create mentorship programs. Let us fund small businesses, help families like yours or mine. I want to connect my resources with people who can really use them." In that moment, standing there with Mark, Jason felt the shift. It was electric. This didn't just feel like a conversation at a wedding, it felt revolutionary, yet, in the swirl of emotion, a voice in his head warned him, how often had he been swept up in something only to watch it fade? Would this hope have substance? "Let us do it," Jason said, determination break through the noise of self-doubt. "But we need to ensure it's genuine. People can't see this as a charity ploy." Mark nodded vigorously, his expression a reflection of Jason's own resolve. "I refuse to let this moment slip. We'll build something that lasts," he said, as if sealing a vow. Lily appeared at Jason's side again, tugging on his hand insistently, breaking the intensity of the moment. "Daddy, can we dance again?" In her young innocence, she reminded Jason of the importance of chasing joy amidst the uncertainty. He smiled down at her, then back to Mark. "We'll talk tomorrow then." "I'll make time," Mark promised, determination etched deep into the lines of his face. With that exchange, Jason felt the warmth of possibility envelop him. How would they bring this vision to life? What challenges awaited when they stepped into the daylight? As he spun Lily around once more, the weight of hope replaced the doubts that circled before. Maybe, just maybe, there was a way forward together. Would this collaboration redefine not only their lives but the lives of many others? It was a question only time would answer. Lily's laughter filled the space between them as she twirled, the soft glow of the wedding lights reflecting in her eyes. Each spin created a bliss that almost felt tangible, wrapping around Jason like a warm blanket against the cool night air. But just as quickly as joy arrived, a hefty weight pulled at his chest. He couldn't shake the feeling that they were standing on the edge of something monumental, with consequences still unseen. With Lily's small hand gripping his, Jason pulled her close, his heart racing as thoughts of the conversation with Mark replayed like a vibrant reel in his mind. What if this really could lead to change? He pondered, the possibility bright enough to push aside the whisper of doubt. They stepped off the dance floor for a moment, allowing the rhythm of the crowd to carry on without them. Mark was still in the corner, laughing with partygoers, yet Jason could see a different man behind the laughter. Something had shifted in him, he was no longer merely a corporate titan, but a man on the cusp of transformation. "Daddy, look!" Lily tugged him back to reality, pointing at a small group of children playing tag across the lawn. They were just as carefree as she was, their giggles carried on the gentle breeze. She bounced on her toes. Can we join them? Jason felt his heart swell. Sure, sweetheart. He followed her, feeling lighter with each step. The thrill of her joy distracted him, if only for a moment, from the gravity of the responsibilities and aspirations that weighed on his shoulders. As the kids darted across the grassy expanse, he watched them. They were free, unburdened by the expectations of the adult world. It struck him that their innocence was a reminder of what was truly important: the connections, the laughter, the love. He found himself wanting to do more than just inspire hope in the boardroom. It was now about holding on to the joy, just as he held on to Lily. After a few laps around the yard, Lily turned to him, her cheeks flushed with happiness. Can we dance again now? She asked, eyes sparkling with excitement. There was a sincerity in her request that tugged at his heart. Of course, Jason replied, helping her back into the rhythm of the music, their private dance amid the lingering conversations around them. As they swayed, Jason couldn't hold back his smile. This moment was fleeting but powerful, an anchor in the turbulent sea of uncertainty that loomed on the horizon. The song changed again, this time to a playful, upbeat tune. They laughed and danced wildly, delighting in their unabashed joy. For a while, everything else faded into the background. It was just him and Lily, a small universe where everything felt right. But he couldn't ignore the unfolding reality. The seeds of a partnership with Mark, plans that could change lives, awaited. As the song came to an end and they stepped back, out of breath and giddy, Jason scanned the crowd for Mark. He found him chatting with another guest, the earnestness in his demeanor unmistakable. Hey, buddy. Jason called out, motioning him over. When Mark approached, there was a freshness about him. He seemed more alive than ever. You ready to talk about tomorrow? Mark nodded, his expression reflecting both the weight of their shared ambition and the excitement of their budding friendship. Absolutely. But how about we make it a family affair? You can bring Lily along. Jason blinked, momentarily stunned. Was he really inviting his daughter into his plans? You think that's a good idea? I believe in involving the community. And, hey, kids often see things we miss. Maybe Lily will have ideas of her own. The suggestion sparked a warmth in Jason's heart, a merging of his personal life with his pursuit of change, a blend of fatherhood with purpose. However, there was still a flicker of anxiety. What if the potential for failure loomed larger than the promise of success? Holding on to Lily's small hand, Jason felt the hope intertwining with the weight of responsibility. As they rejoined Lily, who was already enraptured by the music again, he couldn't help but wonder, was this the strength they needed to break through the barriers ahead? As the evening continued, the night shimmered with potential. Would tomorrow's meeting with Mark be the key to unlocking their dreams, or would it bring with it unexpected challenges? Tugging on Lily's sleeve, Jason set his sights forward, ready to embrace whatever lay ahead. Jason felt a rush of emotions surge through him as he observed Lily dancing, her tiny frame moving with effortless abandon. She was a whirlwind of joy, a spark that illuminated the uncertainty gathering in his mind. As every infectious giggle flew from her lips, a lightness crept into his heart. Maybe, just maybe, including her in this journey could weave their lives with a thread of hope and community. Look at her. Mark said, a broad grin plastered on his face. She's the life of the party. Jason chuckled, pride swelling within him. That's my girl. She brings out the best in everyone. He couldn't help but feel a bond with Mark crystallizing with each shared smile and moment of recognition. Tomorrow should be something special, Mark continued, his eyes settling meaningfully on Jason. You know, your family is important to this vision of ours. Jason shifted his weight, his mind racing between excitement and apprehension. You really think involving Lily would be beneficial? Absolutely. Sometimes children see the world in ways we adults can't imagine. The sincerity in Mark's eyes reinforced Jason's internal stirring. It's refreshing. Lily darted over, her breath heavy from laughing. Daddy! Can I tell Uncle Mark how I love sharing my toys? She jumped excitedly, clutching some invisible idea bubbling in her mind. Jason chuckled softly, kneeling beside her. You mean you want to share your toys with all the children, right, sweetheart? Yeah. And what if we have a playground? Kids could play and laugh together. Her face glowed with possibility, eyes shining as if she had just come up with the most brilliant idea in the world. Mark exchanged a knowing look with Jason, his expression brightening. See? Kids have the purest ideas. This could be just what we need to kick everything off. Jason felt warmth engulf him, but it was accompanied by an ache of vulnerability. What if they failed? Could he stand to see the disappointment on Lily's face? As the music shifted again, Mark suggested, why not let her lead a bit during the meeting? It might get people talking. Jason ran a hand through his hair, still unsettled. Lead? Yeah. Kids have a way of breaking down barriers. Mark's enthusiasm was infectious. Imagine the impact. You'd be amazed at how much we can learn. Lily's eyes sparkled with curiosity. Can we do that, Daddy? I want to help. Her innocence pierced right through his doubts, urging him to reconsider. Could they really create something beautiful together? Okay, he said slowly, letting hope piece together the edges of his anxiety. Let us try it. We'll see what happens. As the night wore on, laughter and music mingled in the air, wrapping around them like a warm embrace. Every shared look between Jason and Mark pulled them closer together, forming an alliance filled with potential. And Lily, oblivious to the grown-up complexities, danced happily between them, a constant reminder of what truly mattered, but somewhere deep down, Jason sensed the weight of tomorrow's meeting looming like a storm cloud. What if they were met with resistance, or even worse, ambivalence? As the dance party reached a crescendo, Jason took a moment to breathe, letting the joyous sounds of the wedding envelop him. Could this adventure into the unknown be the very thing that reignited his purpose and, in turn, strengthened his family? Lily, he said, kneeling to her level as she paused to catch her breath, what if we take that step tomorrow? Are you ready? Always. She shouted, her laughter ringing out and turning heads. Filled with love and trepidation, Jason glanced at Mark, who nodded in encouragement. Tomorrow would indeed be a pivotal moment, but one thing was clear: they were in this together, ready to change their small corner of the world. But as the last song played and the guests began to disperse, Jason couldn't shake the uneasy feeling of the unknown that followed them into the dark. Would they rise together or stumble on the path ahead? Holding Lily's hand tightly, he prepared to face the dawn with courage, though the question of what tomorrow would truly bring loomed over him like a shadow waiting to unveil its secrets. The morning sun peeked through the curtains, casting golden rays across the living room. Jason stirred awake, feeling the weight of last night's excitement settle in his chest. Today was the day. He glanced at Lily, still asleep, her fair hair splayed across her pillow. How had she managed to wrap her tiny fingers around his heart so completely? She had a spark, a natural charisma that brought people together. As he watched her face relax in peaceful dreams, Jason felt a swell of determination. Today, they would take that leap. After breakfast, they donned their matching Future Builders t-shirts. Jason chuckled as Lily jumped around the kitchen, her excitement spilling over. I can't wait to meet everyone. She squealed, her eyes shining. Jason checked the clock. Time was ticking, but he couldn't rush her joy. You ready, kiddo? Always. She declared, throwing her hands in the air. The drive to the community center was filled with Lily's chatter. She had concocted a mental narrative of how the meeting would play out. I'll show them the playground. And then, we can have slides, swings, and a huge sandbox. Her face lit up with every idea that bubbled up. You've got it all figured out, huh? Jason said, smiling as he navigated through the streets. When they arrived, Jason's heart raced. The center buzzed with anticipation, a mosaic of families, young and old, gathering to share their thoughts. They walked in, hand in hand, and he spotted Mark, already engaged in conversation with a few community leaders. "Hey there." Mark waved them over, energy crackling. "Everyone's eager to meet you too." Jason felt a knot twist in his stomach. It was one thing to talk about ideas and another to put them into action. Could they really inspire these people? As they approached, he caught Lily's hand tightening around his, a signal that melted his tension slightly. "Ladies and gentlemen," Mark began, drawing attention to them. "This is Jason and his daughter, Lily. They have an incredible vision for our community." Jason felt all eyes on him, scrutiny washed with expectation. He swallowed hard. Lily tugged on his shirt. "Daddy, I want to talk." Before he could object, she dashed to the front, a whirlwind of energy. "Hello. My name is Lily, and I want to build a playground." She beamed at them, her voice unwavering. There was a hush, a moment when everyone seemed captivated by the boldness of a child's dream. Jason glanced at Mark, whose expression mirrored his own pride. But then, something unexpected happened. A woman in the back leaned forward, her skepticism evident. "What does a playground have to do with our community? Aren't there bigger issues to address?" Feeling a rush of adrenaline, Jason took a step beside Lily, sensing her worry. "That's a great question," he started, gathering his thoughts. "But a space for children to play isn't just about swings and slides. It's about connection, building friendships, creating memories. It's a small step towards a safer, more united community." Lily looked up at him, and in that moment, her trust held him firm. If he faltered, so would she. "I want to share my toys," she chimed in innocently, her eyes surveying the faces staring back at her. "So everyone can play together." Her simple statement struck a chord, softening the hardened expressions in the crowd. Murmurs ensued, a shift in the air. Jason felt the warmth return as hope began to spark around them. Suddenly, people began sharing ideas, visions for a playground blooming into conversations about community gardens, shared dinners, and neighborhood cleanups. Jason felt buoyed, encouraged by the wave of enthusiasm. As discussions flourished, Jason realized this wasn't just about the playground, it was about reconnecting, uniting hearts and minds. A sense of purpose coursed through him. But in the midst of the excitement, Jason spotted the woman from earlier. Would she remain skeptical, or had her heart begun to crack open to the possibilities? As ideas flew around, he knew they were at a turning point, one that could change lives. With Lily's hand still clasped in his, Jason felt the gravity of the moment swell within him, a hint of urgency lingering. Could a single voice of a child truly resonate loud enough to help shift the perspective of so many? Would their dream grow into something larger than themselves? The meeting unfolded, but the lingering question hung in the air like an unfinished sentence. They were only just beginning this journey. Everything lay ahead, uncertain yet pulsing with potential. The room buzzed with excitement, a kaleidoscope of ideas dancing in the air. Jason could feel Lily's small fingers squeeze tighter around his, her warmth a grounding presence amid the swirling conversations. He glanced around, seeing faces go from skeptical to intrigued, and something in him shifted. The energy was palpable, each exchange bridging the gaps between their lives. As people gathered closer, Jason sensed the power of shared dreams igniting something deeper than just plans for a playground. It was a longing for connection that everyone felt but hadn't quite articulated until now. He took a deep breath, the air thick with hope, as Mark encouraged the crowd to think bigger. "Let us hear more about this community garden idea," Mark said, gesturing to a middle-aged man with friendly eyes. Jason recognized him as Mr. Thompson, a local teacher known for his passion for gardening. "Right. Imagine a place where kids can learn about nature, and families can grow vegetables together." Mr. Thompson's enthusiasm spilled over, weaving through the audience, pulling them in. The murmurs grew louder, as Jason watched the community begin to visualize a collaborative effort. "That sounds awesome!" Lily shouted, jumping up and down. "I can help plant flowers." Her joyful cry sent a ripple of laughter through the crowd, and Jason noticed the woman from earlier now smiling, her arms crossed and eyes softened. It was a simple reminder that even the tiniest voices could spark change. Just as enthusiasm reached a crescendo, a timid voice cut through. But, will there really be enough funding for all of this? It was a young woman with worry etched on her face. Jason recognized the weight of that question. He felt that familiar knot twist in his stomach again. Funding is important, yes, he replied, addressing the young woman. But it's also about community. If we come together, we can pool our resources, our time, and our talents. It's not just about money, it's about what we can achieve together. Lily chimed in again, I can help bake cookies for our bake sale. Her innocence stirred a collective chuckle, and the atmosphere brightened. Mark took a step closer to Jason, his eyes alight with inspiration. What if we organized a community event? A day dedicated to planting, playing, and cooking together. It could kick off this whole initiative. The thought ignited a wave of chatter, people nodding and offering suggestions, each more colorful than the last. Jason stood back, listening, feeling a surge of pride and disbelief. This was happening. Suddenly, he felt Lily tugging at his shirt. Daddy, I want to help organize it. She beamed up at him, and he saw the same fire in her eyes that had ignited a moment ago within the crowd. You really want to do that, Lily? He asked, his heart swelling. Yes. Then I can share my toys and help others play. Soft laughter echoed through the room, but it was to Jason a sound of hope. The woman who had questioned them began to speak up, voicing her support hesitantly at first, but growing more confident as she saw the enthusiasm of her neighbors. I can help with funding applications, she said, her voice rising above the noise. If we come together, we can make this happen. Jason's heart leapt. It was turning into a powerful moment. He exchanged quick glances with Mark, both of them acknowledging the shift. Lily squeezed Jason's hand, her excitement contagious. We can be a team. The atmosphere crackled with renewed energy, ideas flying back and forth like fireflies on a summer night. And as the discussion deepened, Jason felt the knot in his stomach begin to unravel. They were crafting something special together. But just as things started to gain momentum, Jason caught sight of the elderly gentleman at the back of the room, watching silently. He hadn't participated yet, a blank expression on his weathered face. Jason's curiosity piqued. What was he thinking? As Jason focused on the man, a chilling thought struck him. What if not everyone could be swayed to join in on this vision? Would this community truly unite, or were they standing on shaky ground with just a handful of believers? In that pivotal moment, Jason realized the path ahead was still uncertain. They had made strides, but would they be able to draw everyone in? With all eyes on him and Lily, Jason felt the weight of their dream pressing down. Would they really build this playground that could bring their entire community together? The laughter faded, replaced by the palpable tension of questions yet to be answered. And as the room waited for his voice, Jason understood, this was just the beginning. What lay ahead could transform more than just a backyard, but hearts and lives. Jason took a deep breath, ready to dive into the unknown. The air hung heavy with uncertainty as Jason stood before the eager crowd. He cleared his throat as the buzz seemed to quiet, all eyes fixed on him. The elderly gentleman still lingered at the back, watching with a furrowed brow. Okay, Jason began, his voice steady yet soft. Let us think about what we can achieve together. He glanced at Lily, her eyes wide and excited, a more powerful motivator than any doubt present in that room. This is about more than a playground. It's about nurturing our community, our families, and our children. He could feel the energy wane a bit, as whispers broke out around the room. There were murmurs of skepticism and fear, voices filled with doubt about their capabilities. But Jason stood firm. I know there are obstacles we can face together. Funding, space, volunteers. More importantly, can we truly bring everyone's perspectives and voices into this? Just then, from the edge of the group, the elderly gentleman finally stepped forward. Jason's heart raced. What would he say? With a voice that shook yet resonated with authority, the man spoke up, "I've lived in this neighborhood for over 40 years. I've seen hopes rise and fall." The crowd fell silent, the tension thickening back into that initial nervous energy. "But I'd like to know, how do we know this time will be different?" Time seemed to pause as Jason considered his response. "I get it," he replied, voice strong. "We've all seen dreams that faded. But maybe it only takes one moment to reignite the flame." He gestured toward Lily, who was busy drawing doodles on the back of a notepad. "Like Lily said, as a community, we can work together, bake cookies, plant seeds, and above all, share ideas. If we all contribute a piece, it'll grow into something beautiful." A ripple of nods washed over the crowd. The woman who spoke about funding, now emboldened by Jason's passion, chimed in, "And if we create tangible steps, grant applications, local business contributions, we can explain our vision clearly." "Yes," Mark exclaimed, clearly invigorated by the different perspectives. "We can build a plan, set small milestones. Who here can share their skills?" Voices grew in enthusiasm as people began raising hands. Someone stepped up to lead a workshop on gardening, another volunteered to create flyers, and a couple offered to help with local businesses. Jason felt a warmth spreading through him, hope weaving between every word shared. Lily tugged at his sleeve again. "Daddy, can we have a petting zoo? With rabbits?" He laughed, a genuine burst of joy in the middle of the heated planning. "Let us talk about that later, okay?" But there was still a tension hanging over the room. Questions remained unanswered. What if they couldn't maintain this energy? What if obstacles became insurmountable? But as Jason scanned the crowd, he found a fire growing there, a willingness to fight for what they believed in. "I know this is just a seed of an idea today," Jason continued, heart pounding with enthusiasm. "But let us plant it, water it with our efforts, and watch it grow. The future of our community will be stronger if we work hand in hand." Before Jason could continue, the elderly gentleman spoke again. "You know, it takes a community to raise a garden, but it takes one brave soul to ask people to come together," he said slowly, the warmth in his voice cracking a little. "You seem to have that spark." In that moment, Jason felt a powerful wave of emotion wash over him. They weren't just talking about a playground or a garden anymore, they were talking about a home. Not mere bricks and soil, but a life filled with laughter and connection. "I want to help," the man concluded, his voice steady now. "Count me in." The crowd erupted into applause, and a cheer spread through the room like wildfire. Jason's heart soared. This was transformational, a shift towards something that could reshape their lives together. But just when Jason thought they had broken free from doubt, he caught sight of the woman who had first questioned funding. Her face remained pensive, her arms crossed tightly. Had his words reached her? With the excitement flooding the room, would her hesitation hold them back? Jason's eyes never left hers as he sensed a solitary storm brewing beneath the surface. The moment was fragile, and the next word spoken could change everything. What would she say? Would she embrace this chance, or would old fears hold her back? The woman hesitated, her brow furrowing deeper as the applause faded into an expectant hush. Jason could see the emotional battle waging within her. Her name lingered at the edge of his mind, a flicker of familiarity, but it didn't matter. He needed her to speak. With a deep breath, she finally unfolded her arms and stepped forward. "I appreciate all of this enthusiasm. It's refreshing. But as someone who has experienced loss, I want to know the plan. What if we try, and it all falls apart? What if all this hope leads us to another empty promise?" A silence settled in the room, heavy and painstaking. Jason sensed the crowd's eagerness dimming, doubt creeping back in like an unwelcome guest. They had taken a leap towards possibility, and now the ground beneath their feet felt shaky again, but in that moment, Jason felt an even stronger urge within him to be honest, to connect. "That's a valid fear," he began, his voice earnest. But every great endeavor comes with risk. Just like love and relationships, pouring your heart into something means you could get hurt. He paused, letting his words sink in. I've faced that risk before. I've lost too. And I have no guarantees this will work, but I can promise we'll all work together. The safety net is us. If we fall, we help each other back up. The woman's eyes softened slightly, a flicker of vulnerability breaking through her wall. Jason's heart raced as he continued, imagine our kids, imagine them laughing and playing in a place we built from these shared hopes. Wouldn't it be worth it? I believe that's where we find real strength, in our togetherness. A spark of understanding lit her gaze. Slowly, she nodded, one small movement that ignited a wave of murmurs around the room. Others began sharing similar fears, but now with a willingness to address them openly. They were beginning to bond over shared experiences, creating a tapestry of emotional threads that connected each of them. Mark chimed in, encouraging the group, we'll meet regularly to reassess. We won't just throw ideas into the air and hope for the best. This is about all of us. If something isn't working, we change direction. The crowd's energy shifted again, the earlier enthusiasm rekindled. People began to share their stories, each tale adding pieces to the underlying framework of their dream. The man who had questioned Jason earlier spoke about how he used to organize community cookouts, and how they had brought people together in hard times. The woman, a single mother, described how her kids thrived on community support, on knowing their friends were nearby. As they spoke, Jason's heart swelled. For the first time, he felt the soul of the community coming alive. They weren't just voices in the crowd, they were individuals with history, dreams, and fears. And collectively, they were becoming a force strong enough to challenge their past disappointments. As the meeting drew to a close, Jason's eyes caught Lily's again. She was scribbling something on her notepad, her small tongue peeking out in concentration. It was a mix of doodles and scrawls, her imaginative world blending with the reality around them. He turned back to the group, his voice steady with resolve. Tomorrow, we'll gather again to start planning our first steps. But remember, it's about connection, about each one of us reaching out. We aren't just building a playground, we're nurturing bonds. With a final cheer, the crowd dispersed, excitement buzzing around the room. Jason felt a deep sense of accomplishment, warmer than he expected. Together, they were ready to take this leap. He knew it now, but as he gathered his belongings, he noticed the woman, still standing aside, lost in thought. Would she step forward in the next meeting, or would she slip away into solitude again? He could almost see the walls around her heart. They were built strong, but were they unbreakable? The real journey was just beginning. What small moment might spark a change in her? Would she find the courage to join this wave of hope, or would doubt hold her back once more? The sun shone brightly on the community center's lawn, illuminating a sea of excited faces as they gathered for the kickoff event. Balloons swayed gently in the breeze, and laughter danced through the air, a melody of hope and possibilities. Jason stood at the forefront, hand in hand with Lily, who virtually radiated enthusiasm. "Daddy! Look at all the people!" she exclaimed, pointing at the crowd. Her eyes sparkled with delight. "Everyone's here to help us." "Yes, they are, sweetheart," Jason replied, feeling a surge of pride swell within him. Last night's meeting had ignited something more than just plans for a playground. It had fostered a community spirit that was absolutely palpable. As he surveyed the crowd, Jason's heart warmed. There were folks from the meeting, those who once held doubts mingling with those eager to offer support. Even the woman who had questioned their intentions stepped into view, a warm smile lighting up her face. She looked different today, bearing the glimmer of hope instead of skepticism. Mark strode up to Jason, enthusiasm radiating from him. "Today's the day. I can feel it in my bones. Our community is ready to rise." Jason nodded, the remnants of his previous nervousness slipping away. "It's incredible. Look at everyone coming together." The air buzzed with the sound of children squealing in delight, running toward the beginning of activities, arts and crafts, games, food stations, and even a petting zoo. Each cherished smile felt like precious ammunition against the worries that had once weighed heavily on Jason's heart. As the event got underway, Jason found himself stealing glances at Lily as she joined a circle of kids building a cardboard castle. They laughed, and her giggles filled him with joy. It reminded him of the event's true purpose, not just a playground but a chance for connection, metaphorical bridges being built among neighbors. Before he could fully absorb that joy, Mark called the crowd to gather at a makeshift stage adorned with flowers and bright fabric. Hello, everyone. Today is about more than we can imagine. It's about all of us coming together to nurture a vision. Cheers erupted from the crowd, and Jason felt his heart soar. As Mark spoke eloquently about their future plans, a playground, community garden, and families working side by side, Jason noticed the woman stepping forward, meeting Mark's gaze. "I want to say a few words," she announced, her voice ringing out clear as she approached the stage. Everyone turned, surprise mingling with curiosity. Jason felt a stir of anxiety in his stomach. Was she going to reclaim her doubts? Or had she stepped forward to embrace the shared journey? Gripping the edge of the podium, she took a deep breath. "I've been hesitant. Skeptical. But seeing all of you here today, I realize that every doubt has the potential to give way to something beautiful." Her voice wavered slightly, yet held a sincere strength. "I lost my way, and today reminds me that we can rebuild together. I want to help." The crowd erupted into applause, and Jason felt tears sting his eyes. In that moment, there was a shift, a collective understanding that brought the community closer. Even fleeting doubts melted, hearts never stood alone. As events rolled on, Jason's focus shifted to facilitating fun activities, embracing the powerful momentum unfolding around him. As families and children engaged in plantings, crafts, and games, murmurings of support and laughter filled the air. "Look, Daddy!" Lily called, her cheeks rosy with excitement as she ran over, dragging her new friends behind her. "We're building our castle together." "I see that, sweetheart. It's wonderful," Jason replied, beaming with pride. For days, they plan, create, and dream, with each rotation of the seasons welcoming joy, friendship, and connection into their lives. Each small step feeling monumental, as both hope and action wove a new story for Jason, Lily, and the community. Together they would build something bigger than themselves, a playground, a garden, a future. Lily tugged at his hand, excitement bubbling over. "Can we go plant flowers now?" "Of course," Jason smiled. As he knelt beside her, watching her face light up, he whispered to himself, "This is what it's all about. Together." As the sun set, painting the sky with hues of orange and pink, Jason felt a rush of gratitude wash over him. Life may still have its challenges ahead, but they were ready to face them arm in arm. With every heartfelt laugh, every embrace, every small victory, the community was transformed. They were not just strangers bound by proximity anymore, they were now a family woven together by love, resilience, and the palpable power of working hand in hand. As the stars began to twinkle overhead, Jason realized something profound. It was not the end of their journey, but rather the beginning of a new chapter. And with that, he looked at Lily, her hand in his, and they stepped forward into the brighter tomorrow, ready to pave the way for change. Now's the time to act. You need to subscribe now to witness the transformation of lives in stories like this. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep this inspiring content flowing. Comment your thoughts and feelings about this journey. Don't wait not even one more second to share this amazing tale with at least 5 friends who need to feel the power of community and resilience. Time to rise up together.